I'm David Fetter, Executive Editor Technical for Prepared Foods Media. Today, we're with ethnobotanist, herbalist, author, and regular contributor Kerry Hughes, Director of EthnoPharm. As a leading source of information on botanical ingredients, EthnoPharm specializes in innovative natural product development and formulation and nexus of market opportunity recognition. Today, Kerry's going to showcase 5 botanical ingredients that food and beverage developers should take a closer look at. And welcome back, Kerry.
Hi, David. Thank you for having me back again.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. I always love working with prepared foods because I just feel like there's so much innovation still available in this botanical space for food and beverage.
Absolutely. Underused, and there are so many hundreds to choose from, but tell us, what 5 botanicals have you picked for us today?
All right, well, let's go one at a time. Actually, the first 2 kind of have a common theme. So the first one is Guayusa. It's got kind of a funky name, but I think consumers are open to funky names these days, as long as it doesn't sound like a chemical or something. But Guayusa is a close relative of yerba mate. So it's in the same genus, Ilex guayusa, and it is a natural caffeine source. So just like yerba mate, how it's a green tea kind of a beverage, not green tea as the green tea in Asia that we know and love so much around the world, but this is an Ilex species, so one of the holly species. Or it's related to the holly species that we
could have done this last week during Christmas. Deck the halls.
So it happens to be a natural caffeine source, and it's actually like originating from a little north of where the yerba mate comes from, up in like Colombia area. It's very popular there. In fact, I even have a history of myself of being an ethnobotanist working on this plant early on when the country of Colombia was trying to find export markets to help people with poverty alleviation. And this was my #1 recommended thing that to take to market, and there it went.
Oh, great.
Now we have it on the market. So, hopefully it's helping with poverty alleviation.
And better and more, saleable than some of the other botanicals Colombia is known for.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about sellable. Those. Anyways, so it's definitely, kind of a follow-on, herb, because it is obviously yerba mate became popular as a natural caffeine source, and it has a strong traditional use, and same with this plant, the Guayusa plant, has a caffeine source. So I think, the first things that you would see it in are beverages. So it can be used in hot or cold beverages, and they're, water infusions typically. Though I wouldn't doubt that at some point we're going to see it in, foods as well. Just like, green tea, you see like kind of the powdered versions or, other versions in power bars or things like that. As long as there's a GRAS affirmation that can cover that, I think that, it's a potential use.
What's the next one? You said these 2 are kind of paired.
Yes. Well, the next one is actually another natural caffeine source. I guess, I wanted to highlight these because, well, first of all, this next one is a little newer to market as far as the overall export markets and international markets, but it's our only North American source of caffeine, which is pretty exciting. And this one is a close relative as well to Guayusa and to yerba mate. This is Ilex vomitoria, not a great name, but everybody uses the common name anyways, which is yapon.
Oh, okay. I live in Central Texas, and we have tons of yapon trees around here.
Yep. Yeah, and it's one of these plants, again, had a very strong traditional use, by the native people, and it for a little while had that use that went on, by even settlers, but then it got kind of taken, kind of faded away, but it became a very popular ornamental plant. And I think that's another really interesting, just, because I love plants and I'm an ethnobotanist as well, that, many of our ornamental species have multiple uses, or even we have them as ornamental species because they have some other amazing use or multiple uses. that we kept them around for. And that's this is one of those plants.
Good, good. Take us to number three.
My next couple are going to be really, well, actually, next few are really kind of more kind of old traditional plants. Actually, the next two are more Western plants, Western herbal plants. And, there tends to be this trend where there's the herbs that are in the herb market, and then we notice, oh yeah, they can be used in foods either through safety, we can substantiate that, or there is a valid traditional food use. And so the first of these is dandelion,
Uh-huh.
and that's commonly known as our weed, the
Oh yeah.
maligned lawn weed that everybody hates, but is very much has a food use and a traditional herbal use as well. And
Oh, are the same parts used? I know that, as a vegetable, you see dandelion leaves in the stores. It's so much more common now. They're right next to the arugula and the broccoli. But
yes,
are we
well,
talking about the same part or?
actually, the whole plant is edible. Although I don't know about having the stems are not that tasty, but but the certainly the flowers and the leaves are used, and same with the roots. Sometimes in the more traditional herbalism, they're used a little differently, whereas like the leaves have a little bit more of a diuretic effect.
Mhm.
And so a traditional herbalist might use the leaves for that effect. But the roots do as well. And in fact, that's kind of an exciting thing about the food use of dandelion, where it has a traditional food use as a coffee alternative.
Like chicory. Are they related?
Like chicory, it's you can use it as a coffee alternative, grind it up and use it that way. It has some similar notes, like the bitter notes, but it also has a slight diuretic effect. But unlike other diuretics, it actually has potassium. So, diuretics are known to deplete the body of potassium, whereas this one is not so much known for that. And
Oh, very nice. Now, the roots, the whole plant is bitter. I know that. Is that due to content of alkaloids or?
Yeah,
Um,
actually, so dandelion is one of our bitter, herbals, and I'm so excited about bitters becoming more popular. And it's just one of these weird circular histories, right? Where, we used to many years back, all of our plants had bitter compounds, right? Almost, and we have now bred them and bred them over the years to have almost zero bitter, content. But with that, we've actually taken out a lot of the medicinal content of our foods. And now we have to put them back in through supplementation, right?
right.
But bitters are it's one of these categories that like traditional herbalists have always used for digestive health, and nobody knew why. And it just sounded like this kind of weird thing that herbalists did, like a lot of things that wasn't explained. But fairly recently, scientifically, we have discovered that the digestive tract has bitter sensors all the way down it.
Ah,
So it's actually the digestive tract itself is kind of like tasting our food, and that plays a really important role in the whole digestive cascade of kind of metabolism that happens. So if the digestive tract senses the bitters, then all these chemicals that enhance the process start, and it plays a really important role for good digestion and also healthy blood sugar balance to have
well,
those.
and good digestion is also one of the keys to immunity, which is a big deal now. So,
Absolutely.
but that's fascinating about the bitter sensors in the digestive tract, though it makes perfect sense anthropologically. So,
Yep.
I'm pretty impressed with that. I'll have to eat more dandelion.
Yes.
Lord knows it's easy to find.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, you be careful with the ones in the limes because they tend to be sprayed
Pesticides
by,
and
yeah,
yeah.
crazy stuff. But they also dandelion's also great, for liver health, and it also has a prebiotic component to it as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh
so
wow.
it
Okay.
also has that, the whole gut-brain axis is very popular these days, and so dandelion,
It's like, yeah, it's like a double shot of immunity protection. I mean, that's great. Um,
I'd say
okay,
this is
food
probably
product developers,
harder.
are you listening?
It's probably harder to use in foods, right, because of the bitters. But since bitters are becoming more popular in some ways, like in some of these beverage formulations, like the alcoholic alternatives, the non-alcoholic
Yes,
low movement.
mocktails.
Yeah, yes, this is one of the uses that it might find.
Well, sometimes it is just marketing. In my chef days, I used to just refer to them as astringently flavored, and that went over better with the clientele than the word bitter.
Yes.
So just a little bit of psychological play can go a long way in a case like this.
Okay.
So take us on to the next one then.
Well, the
There's
next
another
one's a
common one.
Yeah, this next one's a real common one. It's just lavender. Again, here's another ornamental that it's an ornamental that we use in our gardens, and it's also very useful, very safe herb to use, and has strong history in foods. So especially, French cuisine uses lavender quite a bit, kind of like a spice.
Yes, and
And
and in baking.
and in baking, right? So it can be used both in like sweet kind of confection type, desserts, things like that. But also it's used in more heartier kind of meat type dishes, and has a flavor that can complement that as well.
Absolutely. A food writer friend of mine, Jeannie Ambrose, developed a steak rub that's made with lavender, coarse black pepper, coarse sea salt, and fennel seed. And the combination is just awesome. And I do agree that lavender is underused, especially in food in the US, because it really is limited to the occasional, pastry, like cookies, or a few beverages. Some boutique beverage companies have been using lavender, but it's definitely underused. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're the ethnobotanist. Isn't lavender related to mint?
Yes, it's in the mint family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and lavender's exciting for I think multiple reasons. There's a lot of really strong science that confirms that it has a calming effect. But it's also as kind of an herbalist as well. I'm excited about it because we've now become, it's almost a household name, this the term adaptogens, right? We've
Right.
gotten really used to understanding what those are, and people are now seeking those a lot. But herbally, there's another category that usually goes alongside the adaptogens, which are the nervines. And
Oh,
yeah, and so these are actually, they're a little different than adaptogens, but very complementary. And they are generally thought of as like central nervous system tonics. And traditionally, as an herbalist, you would formulate with adaptogens and nervines together.
spell that. I'm not familiar with that word.
Nervine.
Yeah, just like it sounds. Oh, wow. Okay. So you're going to have to come back and tell us more about those.
Yeah, well,
So,
there's a whole category of them, and I think that is something that might, now that adaptogens have become popular, and because we're all so stressed and need, things to remedy our stress,
yeah.
that nervines have a potential for innovation for sure.
Okay. Um, what's number 5 for today?
Well, I kind of saved the kind of fun one for last. Well, they're all fun, of course,
Yeah, they're all fun.
but of course the aphrodisiac is the last one here.
Oh.
And so the common name is Damiana, but
Mhm.
the scientific name is Turnera diffusa. Used to have a scientific name that was Turnera aphrodisiaca, or
Uh,
various combinations of that, but that's now a synonym of this scientific name. But my point in pointing out the scientific name is just the fact that when you see a scientific name that has a use in it like that, it's
hey.
pretty good indication like that this is a strong traditional use. And certainly Damiana, mostly from like Mexico region, has a lot of traditional use as an aphrodisiac and as a liqueur, as well, like in liquors.
Mhm.
And so it has kind of a strong history in both in food and beverage in that way, used as a spice. It has kind of a sharp, spicy flavor that, would be tricky to use unless you're ready for that. But
well, I mean, would it complement well with, say, a capsicum or pepper, like black pepper, or a hot chili pepper? Would that complement it?
It could, or maybe, like the really popular liquor made from it is very sweet. And so and some of the more traditional forms though are more of that spicy herbally flavor. So but the more popular one is the sweet one, of course.
I can just see, your flaming hot Cheetos, for adults only.
Yeah, right. Well, the liquor it comes traditional. The Damiana has like a bottle that's shaped as a pregnant woman. It's the kind of fertility goddess shape. And,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that up here, so I'm guessing it's only available. Where is this plant grown?
Yeah, mostly like in Mexico area.
Oh, Mexico. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, you said so. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And with Damiana, there's not a lot of clinical studies to substantiate its use, but definitely a strong traditional use. And there's actually some good preclinical work that shows that it might actually do what it says it does, in that it has been found to be a nitric oxide promoter and also an aromatase inhibitor. So basically increasing testosterone in that way, or increasing, keeping testosterone around. And so, yeah, it's got a potential, especially I think, there's a lot of kind of return of these botanicals for use in foods because of like this 0-calorie or lower calorie use, and certainly in the no-low movement, there's the lower calorie beverages are being highlighted. So a lot of them are like 10 calories, something like that, right. 10, 25 calories for a beverage.
So yeah, you get low or no cal functionality. Can't beat it. I do hope that we see a lot more of all of these. They all have just such incredible potential in the food and beverage development arena that it would just be great to see some of these picked up and and take off a little bit with them. Damiana might pose an interesting challenge for the marketing team, or at least a sensitive one, but it does seem to have a great deal of potential. Kerry, thanks so much for coming back and sharing your quite prodigious knowledge on botanical ingredients with us. With literally hundreds of these ingredients to choose from, I know you can come back with some more, and I hope you'll do so soon. I also want to thank our audience for joining us today. You'll find a number of Kerry's contributions on preparedfoods.com, and also you'll find a wealth of other on-trend articles, videos, podcasts, and more, just to help food and beverage formulators do their work. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And until next time, this has been David Fetter, Executive Editor Technical for Prepared Foods. Bye.